How is it possible to hear your own voice, but not realize it's you? How is it possible for your darkest secrets, your suffering, your tears, to become entertainment for millions? I started therapy 5 years ago. Dr. Allison Clark, a kind woman, with a warm smile, with a calm voice. In her office I told her everything I'd never told anyone. About my abuse, about my depression, about the night I wanted to kill myself, about secrets that if anyone found out my life would be over. And every week, I went, I sat, I talked, I cried, and I felt like I was getting better. Until last night, when my friend said, "You have to listen to this podcast. It's #1 on Spotify. It's called Dark Therapy, about a woman who had a horrible life." I don't listen to podcasts, but she insisted, said, "You won't believe what happened to her." I put in my earbuds, pressed play, and the voice came, a woman's voice, a familiar voice, a voice I knew but couldn't place. She started telling a story. Episode 1, the night she tried to end it. And she began telling the story. Exactly the story I told Dr. Clark. Exactly the same words, the same details, the same emotions. And suddenly, I realized that voice was mine, altered, processed, but it was me. And Dr. Clark had recorded all our sessions and was selling them as a true podcast. 50 episodes, 10 million downloads, ads, sponsors, money, so much money. From my pain, from my secrets, and I never knew. Until now? Baby, come sit down. Because this story, honey, this one is about trust violated in the deepest way possible, when the person you pay to keep your secrets sells them to the world. My name is Eve. I'm 58 years old now, and 5 years ago, I trusted someone with my darkest moments, and she turned them into entertainment. Let me start at the beginning, when I thought therapy would save me. 5 years ago, I was drowning, depressed, anxious, barely functioning, working but not living, existing but not feeling. I'd been through things, baby. Things I'd never told anyone. Childhood abuse, toxic relationships, trauma stacked on trauma until I could barely breathe under the weight. I knew I needed help. Professional help. So I searched for therapists, read reviews, checked credentials, found Dr. Allison Clark, licensed psychologist, 20 years experience, specializes in trauma and PTSD, 5-star reviews, office in a nice building downtown. She seemed perfect, safe, professional, trustworthy. I called, made an appointment, showed up terrified that first day. Her office was calming, soft lighting, comfortable couch, tissues on the table, plants in the corners, everything designed to make you feel safe enough to break. And Dr. Clark herself? She was exactly what I needed. Mid-50s, kind eyes, gentle voice, the kind of person who makes you feel heard just by the way she nods. "Tell me what brings you here today," she said. And I did. I told her everything. Not that first session, but over weeks, months, years. I told her about my father, about what he did to me when I was 8, things I'd never said out loud. I told her about my first marriage, about the abuse, the violence, the night I left with nothing but the clothes on my back. I told her about my depression, about the mornings I couldn't get out of bed, about the nights I thought about ending it all. I told her about my shame, my guilt, my fear that I was fundamentally broken and unfixable. And she listened. Every week. For 5 years. She listened and nodded and asked gentle questions and helped me unpack decades of trauma. I thought she was healing me. Thought I was getting better. Thought therapy was working. I didn't know she was recording every word, every tear, every breakdown, every revelation, and selling it. The podcast is called Dark Therapy, the true story of Patient the 10th. It launched 3 years ago. Right around the time I was deep in therapy, working through the hardest stuff. It became an instant hit. #1 on Spotify within weeks. Millions of downloads, rave reviews. The most intimate look into trauma you'll ever hear. Raw, real, unforgettable. You can hear the pain in her voice. It's heartbreaking and addictive. People were obsessed with it. With my pain. With my story. With me. But they didn't know it was me. Because Dr. Clark had altered my voice. Pitched it differently. Added effects. Made it sound like someone else. But the words? My words. Exact quotes from our sessions. The stories? My stories. Every detail. Every date. Every name changed slightly, but recognizable to anyone who knew me. The emotions? My emotions. Real tears. Real breakdowns. Real vulnerability. All recorded without my knowledge. Without my consent. Without my permission. And sold. For profit. For fame. For a career boost. I found out by accident. Complete accident. My friend Jasmine called me last week. Excited. Eve, you have to listen to this podcast. It's so good. So intense. This woman's been through hell. I don't really do podcasts, I said. Trust me. This one's different. It's called Dark Therapy. It's all real therapy sessions. You can hear everything. It's like intimate, raw. You'll love it. Something in my chest tightened. Real therapy sessions? How is that legal? The therapist says the patient consented, wanted to share her story to help others. It's anonymous. They call her patient the 10th. Huh, I said. Uneasy but not sure why. Just listen to one episode, Jasmine pushed. Episode 1. It's only 45 minutes. I promise you'll be hooked. So I did. That night, lying in bed, earbuds in, pressed play on episode 1, the night she tried to end it. The intro music played. Somber. Dramatic. Then a voice. A woman's voice. Calm. Professional. Narrating. This is Dark Therapy. A true story told through actual therapy sessions. What you're about to hear is real, unscripted, raw. This is the story of a woman we'll call patient the 10th. A woman who survived childhood abuse, domestic violence, and a suicide attempt. A woman who is healing. One session at a time. Then the voice changed. Another woman. Her voice pitched weird. Distorted slightly. But speaking. I don't know where to start, the distorted voice said. I guess with the night I tried to kill myself. My blood went cold. Those were my words. Exact words. From my 3rd session with Dr. Clark. I remembered saying them. Remembered how hard it was to get them out. The voice continued, telling my story. About the pills, about the bathtub. About waking up in the hospital. Every detail exactly as I'd told it. And underneath occasionally, another voice. Dr. Clark's voice. Asking questions. Guiding. Responding. Can you tell me what you were feeling in that moment? What made you change your mind? How do you feel about it now? Her exact questions. From our session. Word for word. I sat up in bed. Heart pounding. This wasn't possible. This couldn't be real. But it was. It was my therapy session. My private, confidential, sacred therapy session. Recorded, edited, packaged as entertainment. I listened to the whole episode. 45 minutes of my worst night laid bare for the world. Then I listened to episode 2. About my childhood. My father. Things I'd never told anyone but Dr. Clark. Then episode 3. My first marriage. The abuse. The escape. 50 episodes total. 5 years of therapy. My entire healing journey. Sold to millions of strangers. I didn't sleep that night. Just lay there shaking. Trying to process. Trying to understand. How could she do this? How could a licensed therapist record sessions without consent? That's illegal. Isn't it? I looked it up. Researched. Found out the laws vary by state. In some states, only one party needs to consent to recording. In my state, 2-party consent. Meaning she needed my permission. She didn't have it. She'd never asked. Never mentioned recording. I'd never signed a consent form. This was illegal. This was a violation. I didn't even have words for what this was. The next morning, I called Dr. Clark's office. shaking, furious, terrified. The receptionist answered, "Dr. Clark's office. How can I help you?" "I need to speak with Dr. Clark. Now." "She's with a patient." "Can I take a message?" "Tell her Eve Mitchell called. Tell her I know about the podcast. Tell her if she doesn't call me back in 1 hour, I'm calling a lawyer." Silence. "Then I'll give her the message." She called back in 20 minutes. "Eve?" Her voice was calm. Too calm. Like she'd been expecting this. "I'm glad you reached out. I think we should talk about this in person." "You recorded me," I said, voice shaking with rage. "You recorded our sessions. Without my permission. And you sold them." "Eve, I can explain." "Explain how you violated every ethical code? How you betrayed my trust? How you made money off my trauma?" "It's not like that," she said. "Please, come to my office, let me explain. You deserve to hear my side." "Your side?" I laughed. Bitter. "There's no side to this. You committed a crime. Multiple crimes. Just come talk to me," she said. "Please. One last session. Then you can do whatever you want, call whoever you want. But hear me out first." Against my better judgment, I agreed. Told her I'd be there in an hour. I walked into her office for what I knew would be the last time. Everything looked the same. The couch, the tissues, the plants, the safe space that was actually a trap. Dr. Clark was sitting in her chair, looking nervous, guilty, caught. "Thank you for coming," she said. "Talk?" I said. "You have 10 minutes. Then I'm leaving and calling my lawyer." She took a breath. "I started recording sessions about 6 years ago, not just yours, all my patients. I was working on research, a book about trauma therapy. I needed authentic examples." "So you recorded people without telling them?" "I planned to tell everyone eventually, once the book was done, get consent retroactively. But then you realized you could make more money selling it as a podcast," I finished. "It wasn't about money," she said. But her eyes said otherwise. "It was about education. About showing people what real therapy looks like. About destigmatizing mental health. By exploiting your patients? By sharing their stories with permission?" "You didn't have my permission." I screamed. "You never asked. I never consented. You stole my story." "I changed your voice," she said defensively. "Changed identifying details. No one knows it's you." "I know it's me," I said. "My story, my pain, my private moments, sold to millions of people. How is that okay?" "I helped you," she said. "The podcast is helping people. I get emails every day from listeners saying it helped them seek therapy, helped them heal. Your story is making a difference. My story isn't yours to share." I was crying now. Furious tears. "You don't get to decide that my trauma is educational, that my pain is entertainment, that my healing is content. Eve, please." "How much?" I said. "How much money have you made off me?" She hesitated. "That's not—" "How much?" "About 3 million, she said quietly. "From ads, sponsors, licensing deals, merchandise. $3 million. From my suffering, from my secrets, from my trust. I'll be hearing from my lawyer," I said. And I walked out. I hired the best lawyer I could find, specialized in privacy law, medical malpractice. We built a case. Massive violation of doctor-patient confidentiality, recording without consent, profiting off stolen intellectual property. We sued for $10 million. Actual damages. Emotional distress. Punitive damages. Dr. Clark fought it. Said I couldn't prove it was me. Said the voice was too distorted. Said I signed a consent form I didn't remember signing. We went to audio forensics. Proved the voice was mine. Proved the stories matched my medical records. Proved everything. The licensing board got involved. Investigated. Found she'd recorded over 40 patients without consent. All for the podcast. Different seasons. Different patient the 10th S. Her license was revoked. Her practice shut down. Her reputation destroyed. But the podcast? Still up. Still making money. Because the company that owns it claims they didn't know it was recorded illegally. Claims they're protected. We're fighting that too. But it's slow. Legal. complicated. Meanwhile, millions of people have heard my darkest moments, my abuse, my suicide attempt, my shame, my healing. And they don't even know it's me. The worst part isn't the violation, though that's bad enough. The worst part is I can't listen to my own story without dissociating, without feeling like I'm watching my life happen to someone else. Because that's what Dr. Clark did. She took my life, my pain, my truth, and turned it into fiction, into entertainment, into a character named Patient X. And now when I think about my trauma, I don't think about what actually happened to me. I think about how it sounded on the podcast, how listeners reacted, what comments they left. Patient the 10th is so brave. I cried during episode 12. I hope she's okay now. They're talking about me, but they don't know it, and I can't tell them. Because that would make it worse, would open me up to more violation, more exposure, more people knowing my secrets. So I stay silent, anonymous. The real Patient the 10th. Watching strangers consume my life like it's a TV show. I found other victims, other patients Dr. Clark recorded. We formed a support group, meet once a month, share our experiences, our rage, our healing. There's Marcus. His sessions are season 2, about his addiction and recovery. There's Jennifer. Season 3, about her eating disorder. There's David. Season 4, about his childhood sexual abuse. All of us violated. All of us sold. All of us trying to figure out how to heal from our healer betraying us. I trusted her, Marcus said during one meeting. Told her things I'd never told anyone. And she used it. Used me. I feel exposed, Jennifer said. Even though no one knows it's me, I know. And that's enough. I can't be in public without wondering if someone's listening to my story. Judging me? I can't do therapy anymore, David said. I need it. But I can't trust another therapist, can't sit in another office and pour my heart out. What if they're recording too? We're all broken in new ways, ways we came to therapy to fix. But therapy broke us further. The lawsuit settled 6 months ago. Dr. Clark agreed to pay each of us $2 million. Admit wrongdoing. Issue a public apology. The podcast company settled separately, took down the episodes, issued statements, donated to mental health charities, but the damage is done. The episodes are archived, saved, shared, out there forever. My voice, my story, my life. I can't take it back. Can't unsay what I said. Can't unhear what I heard. All I can do is move forward. Try to reclaim my story. Try to heal from the person who was supposed to help me heal. I'm in therapy again now. New therapist. Dr. Martinez. Male. Different approach. Different style. First session, I asked, "Are you recording this?" "No," he said. "And I never will without explicit written consent. Which I don't ask for. Therapy is sacred, private, yours. How do I know you're telling the truth?" "You don't," he said honestly. "You have to trust, and I know that's hard, especially after what happened to you. But I'm willing to earn that trust, however long it takes." It's been 6 months. I'm slowly trusting him, slowly opening up again, slowly healing from the trauma of healing. So baby, here's what I learned. Trust is sacred, and when it's violated, especially by someone in power, the damage is profound, lasting. Your story is yours, nobody else's, no matter how much they think it could help others. Your pain is not public property. Healing is possible, even after betrayal, even after violation, but it's slower, harder, more complicated, and always ask questions. Don't assume safety. Don't assume privacy. Protect yourself, even in spaces that claim to be safe. Thank you for sitting with me today, baby. This story is still unfolding, still painful, still raw, but I'm surviving it. Like I've survived everything else. You are strong. You are worthy. Your story is yours. Protect it. Own it. Share it only when and how you choose. Let me tell you what happened after the settlement. The parts that still haunt me. The podcast episodes might be officially taken down, but the internet never forgets. People saved them, uploaded them to file-sharing sites, created fan pages, discussed them in forums. I found entire Reddit threads analyzing patient X's trauma, armchair psychologists diagnosing me, people debating whether my abuse was real or exaggerated, critiquing my healing process, rating episodes by how intense they were. Episode 23 was brutal. When she talks about her father, you can hear her voice breaking. So raw. Anyone else think Patient the 10th is being dramatic in episode 31? Like, we get it, your ex was abusive. The suicide attempt episode made me cry. But also, low-key inspired me to seek help. So thanks, Patient the 10th, whoever you are. They were talking about me, my worst moments, my deepest shame. Like I was a TV character, a story, entertainment. And the worst part? Some of the comments were supportive, genuinely helpful to other people struggling. My pain was actually helping strangers. But did that make the violation okay? Did that justify Dr. Clark stealing my story? No. Absolutely not. Help built on exploitation isn't real help. It's just trauma recycled as content. My family found out 6 months after the lawsuit became public. My sister called me, voice shaking. Eve, someone sent me an article about a therapist who recorded patients. Were you one of them? I'd been dreading this conversation. Yes. Oh my God, Eve. What did she record? Everything, I said. Everything I told her, about Dad, about my marriages, about the suicide attempt. Silence. Then, people heard that? Strangers heard about Dad? Millions of people. My voice was disguised, my name was changed, but yeah, they heard. My sister started crying. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's not your fault, I said. But it's our story too, she said. What Dad did. It happened to both of us, and now it's out there. Public. And I never consented to that. She was right. My trauma wasn't just mine. It involved other people. Family, friends, ex-partners mentioned in sessions. All exposed without their knowledge or consent either. Secondary victims. That's what the lawyer called them. People harmed by my story being shared. Even though I didn't share it. Even though it was stolen from me. How do you apologize for something that wasn't your fault but still hurt people you love? I joined a privacy rights advocacy group. Started speaking at conferences. Educating people about digital consent. About the lasting impact of privacy violations. My therapist sold my trauma, I'd tell audiences. And even though she was punished, the damage is permanent. My voice, my stories, my life, they're out there forever. Archived, shared, discussed. I can never get that privacy back. People would come up to me after, share their stories, their violations, revenge material, leaked medical records, private conversations secretly recorded and shared. So many people violated in so many ways, all trying to figure out how to exist in a world where their private selves had been made public without consent. Dr. Clark reached out to me a year after the settlement. Email, long, rambling, apologetic but also defensive. She said she'd lost everything. Her career, her reputation, her savings paying settlements, her friends, her family who disowned her. She said she'd been diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. That she was getting help. That she finally understood what she'd done. She said she was writing a book. About her experience. About what led her to violate her patients. About her journey to understanding and accountability. She wanted my input. My perspective. My forgiveness. I deleted the email without responding. Didn't even finish reading it. Because some apologies aren't about making amends. They're about making the apologizer feel better. And I wasn't interested in helping her heal from hurting me. The other victims and I started our own podcast. Reclaimed, Stories from Therapy Violation Survivors. We tell our stories. On our terms, with our consent. In our own voices. Unaltered. Honest. We talk about what happened. How it felt. How we're healing. What we want people to know. It's not popular like dark therapy was. We don't have millions of downloads, don't have sponsors or merchandise. But it's ours. And that matters more than any number. Marcus talked about his addiction in episode 3. But this time, he controlled the narrative, shared what he wanted, kept private what he needed to. Jennifer discussed her eating disorder, but framed it in recovery, in hope, not in the depths of suffering for entertainment value. David shared his abuse story, but with context, with resources, with empowerment instead of exploitation. And I talked about the podcast within a podcast, the meta violation, the theft of my story, and the reclaiming of it. This is my voice, I said in episode 1. Undisguised, unaltered, mine. And I'm choosing to share it. That choice is everything. I got a call from a documentary filmmaker last year. Wanted to make a film about Dr. Clark, about the scandal, about the victims. It could be powerful, she said. Educational. A warning about the dangers of unethical therapy practices. Would you use the original podcast audio? I asked. Well, yes. For context. To show what she did. Then no, I said. Using that audio means profiting off stolen content. Amplifying the violation, even in service of education. But how do we tell the story without it? You interview us. You let us tell it. In our words, our voices, our consent. That's the only ethical way. She said she'd think about it. Never called back. Probably decided the story wasn't compelling enough without the real audio. Which proves the point. People want spectacle, drama, raw pain, not measured healing-focused testimony. They want Patient the 10th. Not Eve. But I'm not Patient the 10th, I'm Eve. And I get to decide what you hear. Dating became complicated after all this. How do you tell someone you're seeing that millions of people have heard your darkest secrets? That your trauma is searchable? That they could theoretically listen to you describe your abuse if they wanted to? I tried being upfront. First date with a guy named Tom. Nice dinner. Good conversation. Then, I should tell you something. I was involved in a legal case. A privacy violation. Some very personal information about me was made public. It's been taken down, but it's still out there if you look. Tom nodded. Okay, what kind of information? Therapy sessions. My therapist recorded them without permission and sold them as a podcast. His eyes widened. Wait. Are you Patient the 10th, from Dark Therapy? My heart sank. You listened to it? Everyone listened to it. It was huge. I listened to a few episodes, but it felt voyeuristic, uncomfortable. I stopped. But you heard enough to recognize me? No, he said quickly. I didn't know it was you until you just told me. The voice was so different. But now you know. And you can listen if you want. To all of it. My whole life laid bare? I won't, he said. I promise. That's your privacy. I don't need to know your past from a podcast. I want to know you from you. We dated for 6 months. It ended amicably. But I always wondered if he'd listened. If curiosity had gotten the better of him. If he knew things about me I hadn't chosen to share. That's what the violation stole. The ability to trust that people only know what I tell them. The control over my own narrative. The privacy of my own past. I did my own research. Looked into how many therapists' record sessions. Found out it's more common than people think. Usually for training purposes. Usually with consent. But not always. I found forums where therapists discussed recording practices. Some were ethical. Always get written consent. Always inform patients. It's basic respect. Others were less so. I record all sessions for quality assurance. Patients don't need to know. It's my notes, my documentation. I record difficult patients in case they sue. Cover my ass legally. They never know. I use recordings for supervision. My supervisor needs to hear actual sessions, not my summary. Some justifications were reasonable. Others were red flags. But all involved recording people without full informed consent. And that's dangerous. Because therapy is supposed to be the safest place. The one place you can say anything without judgment or consequence. And if that's being recorded, shared, used, it's not safe anymore. It's a performance. A liability. A data point. My new therapist, Dr. Martinez, does something radical. Every session starts the same way. Is it okay if we talk today? You can say no. You can sit in silence. You can leave early. This is your time, your space, your choice. It sounds simple, but it's revolutionary. Because it gives me control, agency, power, things Dr. Clark took from me. Things I'm slowly reclaiming. We've been working together 2 years now. Progress is slow. Slower than with Dr. Clark. Because I can't trust easily. Can't open up fully. Can't say things without wondering if they're being saved, stored, shared. But Dr. Martinez is patient. Lets me move at my own pace. Never pushes. Never records. Never violates. And slowly, I'm healing. Again. For real this time. I was contacted by a law firm last month. Class action lawsuit against Spotify and the podcast hosting companies. For hosting stolen content. For profiting off privacy violations. They want me to be the lead plaintiff. Put my name publicly on the case. Become the face of the movement. I'm considering it. But it means coming forward fully. Admitting publicly that I'm patient the 10th. Losing my anonymity completely. The lawyer was honest. This will be hard. You'll be scrutinized. People will listen to the podcast knowing it's you. They'll judge, criticize, dissect your trauma publicly. They already have, I said. They just don't know it's me they're talking about. This makes it real. Permanent, searchable, forever linked to your name. But it also might change things. Might create legal precedent. Might protect future victims. It might, he agreed. But, at a high personal cost? I have 3 months to decide. 3 months to weigh privacy against justice. Anonymity against advocacy. I don't know what I'll choose. Both options feel like losing. I think about Dr. Clark sometimes. Wonder what she's doing now. If she's actually changed. If she understands the magnitude of what she did. I heard through the grapevine that she's working retail now. At a bookstore. Can't practice therapy anymore. License permanently revoked. Part of me feels vindicated. She lost everything like we did. Fair? But another part feels sad. Not for her. For what this says about the world. That someone can violate 40 people so profoundly and the only real consequence is career loss. She's not in jail. Didn't face criminal charges. Just lost her license and paid money. Money she made from us. So really, we paid our own settlements. The system failed us. Like systems often fail victims. Because what she did wasn't technically illegal enough. Privacy laws are weak. Consent laws are weaker. And therapy regulations are often self-enforced. She slipped through every crack. And we're left picking up pieces while she shelves books and moves on with her life. So baby, here's my final truth. Privacy is a human right. Your stories are yours. Your trauma is yours. Nobody gets to decide what's public without your explicit consent. Therapy should be sacred, protected, safe. And if it's not, that's a violation beyond ethics. It's a betrayal of the most vulnerable parts of us. Healing from violation takes time. Years, maybe forever. And that's okay. You don't have to be over it. You don't have to forgive. You don't have to move on faster than you're ready. And if you're in therapy now, or considering it, ask questions. Demand consent forms. Ask about recording policies. Don't assume safety. Verify it. Because most therapists are ethical. Most are good. Most would never violate you. But some would. Some do. And you deserve to protect yourself. I'm 58 now. 5 years since I discovered the podcast. 5 years of lawsuits and settlements and advocacy and healing. And I'm okay. Not perfect. Not whole. But surviving. I still flinch when I hear my own voice. Still can't listen to podcasts. Still Google my name obsessively to see if the episodes are back online. But I'm also stronger. More aware. More protective of myself and others. Dr. Clark tried to turn me into content. Into entertainment. Into Patient the 10th. But I'm not Patient the 10th. I never was. I'm Eve. Complex. Real. Flawed. Human. And my story is mine. Even when parts of it were stolen. Even when millions of people heard it. Even when I can't take it back. I own it. I define it. I decide what it means. That's power they can't take. That's healing they can't stop. That's truth they can't spin. I am Eve. And I'll see you next time. God bless you, honey. This is Eve. Still healing. Still fighting. Still reclaiming my voice. There's something else I need to tell you. Something that happened just last month that changed everything. I was grocery shopping. Normal Wednesday afternoon. Pushing my cart through the produce section. When I heard it, my own voice. Coming from someone's phone. A woman was standing near the apples, earbuds in one ear, phone speaker playing through the other, and she was listening to Dark Therapy, my episode. About my father. I froze. Couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Just stood there listening to myself describe the worst thing that ever happened to me. In a grocery store, between the apples and the oranges, the woman noticed me staring. Pulled out one earbud. "You okay?" "That podcast," I said, voice shaking. "What are you listening to?" "Oh, Dark Therapy. Have you heard it? It's so good. Really intense but like, therapeutic, you know?" "This woman's been through hell." "That woman is me," I said. She laughed. Thought I was joking. "No, seriously, have you listened? You'd love it if you're into true crime psychology stuff." "I don't need to listen," I said. I lived it. That's my voice, my story. My therapist recorded me without permission and sold it. Her face changed. Shock. Disbelief. Embarrassment. "Wait, you're Patient the 10th? "I'm Eve," I said. Patient the 10th is what my therapist called me when she stole my life and turned it into entertainment. She pulled out both earbuds, turned off the podcast. "I'm so sorry. I had no idea. The podcast says she consented, that she wanted to help people." "She lied," I said simply. "About everything." The woman looked at her phone like it was contaminated. "I've listened to all 50 episodes. I've cried. I've laughed. I felt so connected to Patient the 10th. To you. I thought you wanted to share." "I never wanted strangers to hear me at my lowest," I said. "I never wanted my trauma to be entertainment. I never wanted any of this." She started crying. "I feel sick. I promoted this podcast, told all my friends to listen. I thought it was helping people." "It did help people," I admitted. "That's the complicated part. My stolen trauma accidentally helped strangers. But that doesn't make the theft okay." She nodded. "I'm deleting it. Right now. I'm so sorry." I watched her delete the app. Felt a weird mix of validation and loss. Another person who'd never hear my story the way she wanted to. But also another person who knew. Another witness to the violation. That encounter made me realize something. There are probably thousands of people out there who listen to Dark Therapy, who feel connected to Patient the 10th, who think they know me, and now that I'm considering going public as the lead plaintiff, they'll all know it was me. They'll connect the dots. They'll look at me differently. Some will be supportive, sympathetic, apologetic for consuming stolen content. Others will be defensive, angry that I'm ruining something that helped them, that I'm making them feel guilty for listening. And some will be invasive, will want to talk to me about my trauma, will feel entitled to my story because they've already heard it, will treat me like a celebrity or a character instead of a person. I'm not ready for that. Don't know if I'll ever be ready for that. But I also know that staying silent protects the systems that allowed this to happen. And I'm tired of protecting systems that didn't protect me. I called the lawyer yesterday. Told him I'd do it. I'd be the lead plaintiff. I'd go public. "Are you sure?" he asked. "Once you do this, there's no going back. Your name will be permanently linked to this case, to the podcast, to everything." "I'm sure," I said. "Because someone has to. Someone has to stand up and say this isn't okay, that consent matters, that privacy matters, that therapists who violate patients should face real consequences." "You're brave," he said. "I'm angry," I corrected. "Anger looks like bravery sometimes." "The case goes to trial in 6 months. I'll have to testify, relive everything. Explain to a jury how it felt to discover my therapist had been recording me. How it feels to know millions of strangers have heard my worst moments. And Dr. Clark will be there, watching, listening, probably feeling victimized herself, probably still not understanding what she did wrong. I'm preparing for that. With Dr. Martinez, with my support group, with meditation and journaling and all the healthy coping mechanisms I've learned. Because I'm not just fighting for me anymore, I'm fighting for everyone Dr. Clark violated. Everyone whose therapist might be recording them right now. Everyone who deserves safety in therapy. My sister called me last night. We hadn't talked in months. Things had been strained since she found out about the podcast. I saw the news, she said. About the lawsuit. About you being the lead plaintiff? Yeah, I said. I'm doing it. Does that mean everyone will know? About Dad? About what he did to us? They already know, I said gently. They just don't know it's us. This way, at least we control the narrative. At least we can add context. At least we can say, this happened and it wasn't okay, and here's what we're doing about it. Silence. Then, can I testify too, about how the podcast affected me, about secondary trauma? I hadn't expected that. You want to? I want him to face consequences, she said. Her voice hard. Dad, Dr. Clark, everyone who profited off our pain. I want them to know we're not just stories, we're people. And we're fighting back. So now there are two of us, two sisters, standing together, facing down the people who turned our shared trauma into entertainment. It feels powerful, terrifying, but powerful. I've been thinking a lot about what I'll say in my testimony. How I'll explain this to a jury. How I'll make them understand the violation. Maybe I'll start with this. Imagine telling someone your darkest secret, the thing you've never told anyone, the thing that keeps you up at night, the thing that makes you feel broken and ashamed and terrified. And imagine that person listening, nodding, holding space for your pain, making you feel safe, making you believe that this secret is finally contained, that you can start healing now that it's been spoken and held and validated. And then imagine discovering that person recorded you, that they took your secret and packaged it and sold it, that millions of strangers have heard your shame, that people you pass on the street might know your worst moment, that your voice, your actual voice speaking your actual words, is out there, forever, searchable, shareable, consumable. That's what Dr. Clark did to me, and 40 other people. She didn't just breach confidentiality, she weaponized our trust. She turned our healing into her profit. She made us all into characters in a story we never agreed to tell. And even though the podcast has been taken down, the damage is permanent. I will never not know that millions of people have heard me at my lowest. I will never not wonder if the person I'm talking to has heard my secrets. I will never not feel exposed, violated, stolen from. That's what this case is about. Not just money, not just punishment, but establishing that this is wrong, that therapists who do this should face real consequences, that privacy in therapy is sacred and non-negotiable, that consent isn't optional, it's essential. I've been practicing it, memorizing it, making sure I can say it without breaking down, because I will want to break down, will want to cry and scream and fall apart. But I need to be strong, articulate, convincing, not just for me, for all of us. Dr. Clark's lawyer reached out last week, wants to settle before trial, offered $5 million to drop the case. No admission of wrongdoing, confidential settlement. I said no. This isn't about money, I told my lawyer. It's about accountability, public accountability. I want a jury to hear what she did. I want a verdict. I want documentation that this was wrong. Settlement would be easier, he said. Faster. Less painful. I don't want easy, I said. I want justice, real justice. Not money as apology justice. So we're going to trial. 6 months from now. In front of a jury. In front of cameras. In front of the world. I'm terrified. But I'm ready. So baby, let me leave you with this. If someone violates your privacy, fight back. Don't let them silence you with settlements or threats or shame. If someone steals your story, reclaim it. Tell it yourself. On your terms. With your consent. If someone turns your pain into profit, make them face consequences. Legal consequences. Social consequences. Career consequences. Because silence protects abusers. And speaking up protects future victims. It's scary. It's hard. It's exhausting. But it's necessary. You are not a story. You are not content. You are not entertainment. You are a person. With rights. With dignity. With the power to say no. You don't get to do this to me. Not without consequences. Use that power. Even when it's scary. especially when it's scary. I'm 58 years old, 5 years post-discovery, 6 months pre-trial, and I'm ready for whatever comes next, for the exposure, for the scrutiny, for the fight, because I'm not just Eve anymore. I'm not just patient the 10th, I'm a survivor, an advocate, a fighter, and I'm done being silent about violations that thrive in silence. Thank you for sitting with me today, baby, for witnessing my story, for holding space for my anger and pain and determination. You are powerful. You are worthy. Your privacy matters. Your consent matters. Your story is yours. Don't let anyone take that from you. And if they try, fight back with everything you have. God bless you, honey. This is Eve. Patient the 10th, no more. Survivor. Fighter. Advocate. Truth teller. And I'll see you next time.